Hi everybody, Steven here. If you ever wondered how I can do a backup of my vCenter server or what are the different options and more importantly, how do I do a restore? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, so stick around. Hi everyone, thanks for sticking around. So in this video, I'm going to cover how we can do, or the different methods that we can do a backup of our vCenter server, more specifically a file-based backup, and more importantly, how do we do a restore? So we'll take a look at that. Now, before we begin, please consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. It's very simple, it's very easy. Click that subscribe button. Without subscribers, there's no content developers, right? So this is how I get compensated by YouTube, right, for this free content. So again, liking also supports the channel, sharing also supports the channel, and again, I also do have super thanks enabled, but that's totally up to you, okay? So why don't we get started? All right, let's get going here. Let's back up my vCenter server here. So I'm going to connect to my vCenter server in my lab environment, my vCenter 01. I'm just going to log in just to show you what's there. Password, and I only get the one vCenter server managing my single ESXi host, and my nested VMs run on top of that. So this is kind of the root of my lab environment. There's my single host. It's a PowerEdge 740. Again, you'll see the memory and the processor, whatever, doesn't matter. Here's all my VMs that are running. Doesn't really matter what VMs are there. This is the VM. That's my vCenter server VM, the one that I'm connected to right now. It's called vCenter 01. Okay. I'm going to basically connect to the management interface of that. So let me type in https://vCenter01 vc01.vclass.local port 5480. Okay, so this is the management interface. Now let me log in as the local user root. And at that point, you see I'm actually connected to it. Notice my version 8.0.2. Great. You see it's up and running. Everything's looking good. If I go to monitor, all this stuff is looking good here. Let me go to backup. And you'll actually see I actually did have a backup done before. Anyways, doesn't matter. Just pretend that's not there. So notice my schedule is not configured, right? Now, before it says, let me just read this through. It says, before taking a backup server must be set up and configured such that vCenter can access it. Okay, so I am doing a file-based backup, not an image-based backup. So file-based backup, you set up an FTP server or whatever type of server to do your backup too. So I've already got one going. I think it's a Ubuntu box I set up. Doesn't really matter. Then it says the protocols that are supported for backup are secure FTP, HTTPS, secure FTP, FTP, and you can see there's a whole laundry list of supported protocols. I'm going to be using secure FTP, or I've set up an SSH server. So let me go to configure. And then it shows you over here the parameters. You basically got your protocol, the server, the IP or fully qualified domain name, a port number if you want to, and then the folder and the subfolder where you're going to back it up to. So I'm actually going to put it to my secure FTP server. And I'm going to do a little mistake here. So let me just go /backup. There we go. I'm going to do something. And this is the reason why I'm doing this video, because I actually ran into a problem, and you'll get to see what messed up for me and how to fix it. Okay, so there we go. I got that set up. I'll put in my username for that backup and this password, whatever you set up. Again, mine, I just called it VMware. Am I going to schedule this? Maybe I'll do a daily, weekly, or whatever kind of custom schedule if I want to. Maybe I'll just go weekly. How often should back it up? Really depends on how often are you making changes in your environment. So I would probably recommend at least daily, right? Minimum weekly. Okay. Yes, that's better than nothing, right? You pick your date and time. I'm just going to say weekly. If you want to encrypt the backup, probably a good idea. You would specify a password. If you lose that password, you won't be able to restore it. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Okay. So don't worry. Make sure of that. Okay. If you put a password here, you better remember it, or else you go to do restore. It ain't going to work if you don't have that. Now, how many backups do I want to retain on my backup server? Notice the defaults retain them all. So this is going to burn through a lot of disk space potentially. How much space? Notice over here, it's backing up stats, events, and tasks. It's about 50 megs in my inventory and configuration. So it's about 100, almost 200 megs in size, right? So if I say retain them all, it will keep all the copies. Or maybe you want to say, I just want to retain the last 5 copies or 10 copies or 2 copies or whatever. I'm going to put 2 here. That's it, okay? So I'm not filling up my FTP server. So I'm going to say create. There we go. Come on. So once that's done, it's basically created a schedule. There's my FTP server. Don't worry, that's just Google kind of warning me about my password I used. Anyways, great. So I've got that schedule. Now, suppose if I want to do a backup right now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say backup now. And I could type in the information for my backup location. I can say, no, just use the information I typed into my schedule. So I'll click that, and you'll see it populated that for me, and same thing with the user ID. Great, so let's try this out. Let's type in my password. Do I want to encrypt it? I'm not going to bother for my demo, and I'm going to back up everything. Probably a good idea also to give it a description. I'll say my YouTube demo backup, whatever, okay? So I'll say start. Let me give it a few seconds. Now, actually, I probably shouldn't have done that because it should fail on me. Watch it work. It failed. It came up and it basically, so let's take a look at this, expand it. And you can actually says failed to create backup directory on backup server. Let me SSH into that machine, my vCenter server. So let me go to my vCenter server and log in as root. There's a bit of troubleshooting for you as well, folks. A little bonus stuff here. Let me just change the size of my font here. I've had some people complain about me changing the background color. Apparently it's difficult to see. So I'm just going to leave it at black. There we go. So I'm just going to go in here. Let me make this a little bigger. Come on. So I'm going to type in shell. There we go. So basically I have the Linux shell. I'm going to change my directory into var log. That's where all your logs are generally. I'm going to go into VMware folder, and there's an app management folder or whatever. Inside that folder, if I do a listing, there's a bunch of files here. This is the one. Where are you? Where are you? That's the one I'm concerned with, the backup.log file. So if you're having issues with your file-based backup, that's probably a good place to look. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to show you something. I'm going to go tail-f backup.log. And what that'll do is tail-f basically says, show me the bottom end of the file, and as new entries come into the file, show it to me, right? It's a good way to do some troubleshooting. So let me go back into here, and let's try this out again. Let's go back up now. Let's repeat that whole thing. And I'm not going to worry about all this stuff. I can say start. I'm going to go to here, and we should see some entries coming in. Come on, don't make a liar out of me. There we go. We've seen some entries coming in, and we go there. So it failed to create backup directory on the server, right? So error. So it actually comes through, and it tells me it's failed to create backup directories, and all this stuff kind of gives you a little bit more information you can do some troubleshooting with. Okay, enough of that. What I want to do now, if I go OK here, if I go into my FTP server, and this I kind of find weird, but anyways, it is what it is, and maybe dependent on your FTP server. Where's my FTP server? Where's my, there we go. So I'm going to log in as, again, I apologize for the blue. That's what I had set before. So you'll notice I've logged into my backup server. And if I print working directory, it says I am in the home/VMware directory. If I do an ls, there's a folder called backup. So when I log in as this user, its root directory should be this folder. And it should be what's referred to as rooted to this folder. It's not. So this is why I'm getting the error. So let me go and fix this. Let me edit my settings. And I got to put in the full directory here. So I'm going to specify, come on, /home/VMware/backup. Okay? And I'm going to type in the password and then save it. So I got to pull in the full path. Now let's do backup now. I'll pull it from here. Okay? Okay, there we go, back up, and then I'll type in the password. I'm not going to worry about the other fields. And I'm going to say start. And at that point, it should start doing a backup for me. Give me a second. I'll say okay. And we give it a few seconds here. And we should see it chug along. There we go. It's chugging along. So this shouldn't take too long. I don't have that big of an environment. But you see I'm almost at 100% already. Okay? So we'll just give that a few seconds here to finish its thing. Okay, we can see that it's finished now. Great. If I go back to my backup server, if I change directory into the backup folder, I should see, again, that's a little hard to see. Let's go in my WinSCP. Let's try that out, FTP. There's my backup folder. You'll see it created a folder called vCenter. In there, there's actually another folder and another folder. And again, there is my backup. Okay? All right, so that's kind of cool. The next thing we're going to do now is a restore. So how do we do that? All right, so stick around. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you found this entertaining, hit that like button. It really helps support the channel, okay? So we'll see you back in a second to do a restore. Okay, everybody, we're back. We're going to do a restore now. So what I'm going to do is, let me kill this. I don't need this anymore. There's my vCenter server. And what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to kill this vCenter server. I'm managing it right now, so I'm going to kill it. So let me actually go into my ESXi host and manage that vCenter server. Come on. So I'm going to simulate it dying completely on me, right? So here's my here's that vCenter server I got right now. All right, if I click on Actions, let's go to Edit Settings. I am going to basically go in and disconnect the network card. Okay, so this way I don't have a conflict because I got to do a restore. All right, so we'll say save. And in fact, I will actually suspend that machine completely. So it's completely offline. We'll give it a few seconds to do that. So I'm not going to completely blow it away. Just pretend it's gone, it's history, and I got to deploy a new one. And the new one's going to have a conflict with that one, so that's why I had to do all that stuff. I guess I didn't have to disconnect the network card, but anyways, I just figured out to suspend it as well. There we go. So it's pretty much, okay, so it's done. It's suspended, all right? So it's not online right now. Let me get rid of this. Now, if I click on stuff here, I should get, eventually this is going to time out and fail on me, right? So I can even try connecting again, vCenter 01. It's just going to spin around. So it's gone. So how do we do a restore? So notice I showed you the version, right? I was at 8.0.2, right? So I got to make sure you're at the same version. You got to get your ISO for the vCenter server. So I do have a copy of that. Now, what you would probably want to do, so let me go to here, and this is part of like doing the install of your vCenter server. You find the ISO. Where is my ISO over here? vCenter Appliance ISO 8.0. There we go. And then, actually, sorry, let me right click on this and let me go. There we go. Let me right click on this and mount it. So now what you want to do is you probably want to be proactive and have a copy of this ISO ready at hand. If you updated, I'm going to update to 8.0.3 or whatever like that. I don't have that here. You want to make sure you have the ISO on hand and not at a situation where, I need to do a restore and I don't have that. I got to go to Broadcom site. You're wasting a lot of time. So always make sure you have the ISO handy. Probably a good idea to put it in the, where your backup is, right? So my secure FTP server, maybe keep a copy there. So in case, you have it local, you don't have to be scrambling on the internet or whatever. So I'm just going to right click on this. I'm going to go mount. And this is just how you would install vCenter server. Again, if you see my videos installing set of vCenter server, I'm going to go to the VCSA user interface or GUI installer, not command line. I'm going to go to the GUI installer. I'm on Win32, and I'm going to run the installer here, right? Oops, there's the installer. So just like I'm installing a new vCenter server, this is the only difference now. I'm going to click on Restore, okay? So that's where this comes into play. So I'll click on Restore. It's going to say deploy vCenter server stage 1. I'll click on the, sorry. This is what the part I kind of don't like. I think it might be a Chrome issue. I'm not exactly sure. Actually, it may not be a Chrome issue. There's nothing for me to click on. I got to go full screen here. Now, maybe it's because I'm already keyed into this machine. I don't know. So anyways, I go full screen. Now you see the next button. So it says it's a 2-stage installer, right? It says restoring is 2 stages. The first stage deploys a new vCenter server to the target host. The second stage transfers the data to it. Okay, great. Let's go next. This is the license agreement. You'll scroll through that. Again, read through it carefully. I'm going to agree to it. I already read it thoroughly. Anyways, then I'm going to end up my backup location. Where's my backup? So my backup is secure FTP, quote, / my FTP server, secure FTP, vclass.local. That's my secure FTP server. And it's under /home /VMware /backup. Okay? The username, mine's called VMware. And I don't got much of an imagination. And the password. Whoops. I typed that wrong. And I'm going to go next. Now it's asking me, select a valid backup folder containing the backup metadata.json. So I'm going to go through. So it found underneath my backup folder, it found a folder called vCenter, and I showed you that. Then it found this other folder. There, it found this folder, and then there is where that metadata JSON is. So I've selected that folder. I'm going to go select. I'm going to go next. Maybe I had multiple backups, so you would pick the appropriate one. Probably the latest, and then review the information. This is the name of the vCenter server, the number of processors, memory. Okay, that looks good. This I find kind of interesting, the vCenter server configuration information, 4 virtual CPUs and 21 gigs of memory. That's a small configuration. I'll see that. We'll come back to that in a second. I'll click next. It's asking me for the fully qualified, okay, specify the vCenter server deployment target system. The target is a host or vCenter. It's going to redeploy this appliance. It's a VM, so it's saying, hey, where do you want to redeploy it to? I'm going to redeploy it to my ESXi host, 172.10. That's my ESXi host, the username, and the password. Again, this could be a vCenter. Maybe you got multiple vCenter servers here, and this one's going to be a VM under that vCenter server. Anyways. I'm restoring it to my ESXi host. I'll go next. It's giving me a certificate warning for that. I'm going to say, yeah, that's the right certificate. Then it's asking me, what's the name of the VM? So it's creating this vCenter server. So mine was called, remember, it was originally called vCenter 01. We're going to call it Restore, just so I know and I could blow it away. You'll probably just call it the exact same name as you called it before, whatever it was. Set the root password. And then set up the size. I kind of find this funny because remember it said it found it was 4 virtual CPUs and 21 gigs of memory. Why doesn't it just default to that? But anyways, so okay, so I picked my size and whatnot. And I'll click next. Now it's asking me what data store do I want to deploy this to. Okay, I'm going to deploy it to yeah, whatever. That data store looks good. SSD, whatever. Oh, enable thin disk mode. I'm just going to deploy it thin to save a bit of space in my environment. In your environment, you may go thin disk or thick disk. Okay, thick, it pre-allocates it. If you got 300 gigs of hard drive space, it takes 300 gigs of hard drive away. I'm going to go next. What port group is it going to connect it to? Again, this would be your management network that you're going to be connecting to. So remember, it's deploying your vCenter VM, and it's going to get connected to a port group on your virtual switch. So that'll probably be your management network. That's mine right here. Okay. How am I assigning the IP address? It pulled all that information from the backup. So there's all the information from before. Looks good to me. Okay. So if you need to make changes in your environment, great. But it pulled it from the backup. So I like that. I'll go next, and I'll go finish. And at that point, it's deploying stage 1. Restore stage 1. This will probably take a little bit more than a few minutes. All right, so I'll just let it run through, and then we'll come back. Okay, I'll probably speed this up. everybody. So that's done, and what do we see here? So stage 1's been deployed. Says successfully deployed the vCenter server. To proceed with stage 2, hit that continue button. It says if you exit without hitting that continue button, you can always go into the management interface on port 5480. So I'm just going to hit continue, and we wait and see what happens. Now we're at stage 2. Stage 2 does the restore. So it built that vCenter. Now it's going to do the restore for us. So again, there's our location, user ID and password. I don't have an encryption set up, so I'm just going to basically hit next. And then it's probably just another waiting game here. So let's just wait and see what happens. It says, shut down the original vCenter before you proceed to avoid conflicts, which I already did in the beginning, right? It's assuming that you still have that. So again, you see some of the information here where it's located, version, and that's it. I hit finish. It says, once started, you'll not be able to pause or stop the restore, which makes sense. So hit continue. If I did stop or pause it, I'd probably have to do the whole restore over again. So here we go. So let's just wait for this thing to churn through and see how long it goes. So I will probably speed this up. It'll probably take a few minutes at least. Oh, look at that. It just jumped right up to 17%. So like I said, I'll probably speed this up. All right, everybody. Looks like it is done. It says it's been successful. It tells us to click over here, whatever, to log in if we want to. I'm going to close. Let's close this up. Let's kill that. Let's fire up Chrome. And let me go to my vCenter server. And there's the VC01, the vClass. I'm going to log in. And so far, so good. Don't want to jinx myself. And I still got to copy my original. But anyways, in case you're in an environment where you don't have that. Okay, so sync up, don't worry about that. It's just going to see if there's any updates. But everything's looking pretty good. Looks like I got a red mark on my host over here. Network adapter redundancy loss. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So one of my cables came undone when I was actually waiting for something here. So it's okay now. That's it. So that's pretty much it. That one's suspended over there. So there's the new vCenter appliance that I'm running from. So that's how you do your restore, folks. Again, that's using the file-based backup utility built into vCenter. Image-based, again, I don't have a third-party. Again, you can use the vSphere APIs using some kind of third-party solution. I don't have a third-party solution. Anybody out there want to sponsor me for one, I could do a video on it. But anyways, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave comments, questions down below. Please support the channel by subscribing to it. And again, if you found this entertaining at all, hit the thumbs up. But thanks again. And if there's something you want to see in the future, please leave a comment down below. Thanks. Have a great day. See you in the next one. Bye now.